now listening to Human Beings.
We're live, baby.
Let's go.
Episode 21.
21 for all my Spanish speakers. What's happening, man?
We're finally here, man.
So we're in the new spot. Shout out to our sponsors, High Class and Truth Clothing. Fire spot.
Truth clothing, man. This shirt is fire.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Your shirt is fire.
I got a
And
little-
it is the truth, even though you can't
snap.
handle the truth. But
I already messed it up, though. No, I'm good. I just got a little avocado on there.
how you feeling right now?
I'm feeling fantastic, bro. How about you?
I feel completely sober and perfect.
Me too. It feels good.
Yeah, right.
I've been microdosing mushrooms this week.
And
That's been an interesting...
when's the last time you did that?
2 hours ago.
2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you feeling?
No, I feel good. I'm right on the...
I saw you were outside trying to connect with nature.
The sun feels great, but it's still a microdose. It's not like you're tripping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you definitely, it intensifies your senses.
But don't you think it intensifies that feeling of being outside without any electronics?
Oh,
and
for
you're just
sure.
you were outside and you're like, first of all, you bent your knees and you were like, bent your knees like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I already know what feeling you're having
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah.
trying to connect with nature.
It feels good. You could feel the energy from the sun. Like, it's not just, heat on me, because
Mhm.
obviously heat is energy, but you feel it as the energy.
Yeah.
It feels fantastic.
Yeah.
So I did 1.1, which the first day I microdosed, I did 0.3. Then the second day I did 0.5. I'm kind of like measuring to see where the borderline is, like where it becomes not a microdose anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And 0.3 was fine. 0.5 was fine. I did 0.5 twice, and then I went to 0.7. And then when I hit 0.7, it was still good. And then that's why this time I was like, okay, let me try 1.1. So we're at 1.1 right now. And I feel like 1.1 so far, with at least, every species is different. And, every batch you get is different. But so far, I would say 1.1 is the sweet spot right now. For me so far. And it also depends on what type of batch you get and things like that, because obviously that matters.
The strength and shit.
Which, like, if we talked about the first time we ever did it, which I want to say that chocolate had one.
That was 2.5.
What?
Yeah, that was 2.5.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm over here. I hope the people I talk to me before they try it, because I've been giving them bad advice. But no, it's actually good advice, because I've been telling them to take 1 to 1.5 for their first time.
Okay.
So I would say that's actually pretty good advice.
Yeah. I mean, we jumped straight into 2.5.
I did not know that. I thought it was 1 to 1.5. But anyway, so far 1.1 today has shown to be a sweet spot. I'll increase it, obviously, when I know I have time and I'm away from everything, just in case it does go over the border of micro to macro. But so far, so good, bro. I'm liking it. But it's not. I've also learned it's not an everyday thing. Like, if you're gonna microdose, it should only be like a couple.
Some people
times.
do though.
Yeah, but I feel like that starts to probably degrade the experience, and you're probably throwing your body off.
Mm-hmm.
The chemicals and things.
You're losing your. I would say you would lose your sense of reality.
For some people, definitely.
Same thing with smoking.
Yeah, for sure.
Same thing.
Which is crazy too, because I stopped doing that, and I actually am glad that I stopped. Like, not that I won't ever again, like maybe dabble, just maybe one time thing or whatever, but as like a regular part of my life, a regular part of my routine, I don't ever see that happening again. Not to the point that I'm at now. Where I'm at
so
now.
glad I never fell into that
everyday
that trap. Yeah. Of like it being consistent or nothing. Like, I had no urge whatsoever.
Yeah.
To be in that type of.
I don't necessarily think it was a bad thing. Looking back at the time, obviously I'm biased though. It was my experience. There's good and bad that comes with everything. But now, where I'm at in my life now and what I've learned through that time, I would say that I'm glad that it's not an everyday thing, not an everyday habit. Because I feel like usually it's like one or the other. Either it's all day every day, or I'm not doing it at all. Mm-hmm. And now, not doing it at all, I feel like if I felt like every once in a while trying it, or maybe having a one-time deal, or maybe just hanging out with friends on the golf course or something, and then maybe hit something. But even then, it's not like I need to do that. It's just, it would be part of that day's experience or whatever.
True. I mean, right now, how many days have you been on fruits and vegetables? Raw fruits and vegetables, right?
Today is day 25. So I got 5 more days.
Day
Wait, by the way,
25.
have you microdosed before?
I mean, yes, I have, but not
Purposely?
consistently. Yeah,
Okay. And you didn't feel like you got anything from it?
yeah, I did for
Like
sure.
the same thing, just heightened senses?
Yeah, it's just a lower. This is just a lower experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Of it, but it's cool. I've actually gone out, like even downtown, or I've
Yeah.
gone just in general.
I can
to
see you
places.
being more social with it.
Yeah,
I'm
I would
saying
say
you
that.
specifically.
I would say. Yeah, I would say yeah.
So, but I'm on day 25 right now for all 100% raw fruits and veggies, which is wild. I'm very proud to say I'm on day 25 because I did not expect to be doing 30 days as soon as I have. I thought 30 days was like more of a further in the future a milestone.
Yeah,
And I'm 5 days away now, not even sweating.
and you're just doing raw fruits and veggies, right?
Yeah, water, raw fruits and veggies, herbal tea. Like we have like some
Mhm.
herbs at the house, so I'll make tea in the morning. Right now we use burdock and nettle.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll do that, which is great for the skin, which by the way, if we're talking about differences in feeling, randomly, one time I feel like in my life I had eczema on my wrist when I was a kid or like high school, middle school. I don't know why. I thought it was because maybe a watch I was wearing or something, but it was only a short-term thing and went away and I didn't have to deal with it anymore. And never again did I have to deal with eczema or any skin issues of that nature. Randomly about March or February of this year, I got eczema first on this arm, right in the ditch of my arm, which apparently is a common place for that to happen. And it just weirded me out because I knew I wasn't all fruits and veggies, but I wasn't eating horrendous either.
Yeah,
Occasionally I'd have a pizza or something like that, but it wasn't like most people. And the eczema came up and I was just super taken aback by it. And I was wondering maybe it was because I was a few months before that, I had gone maybe on indulging too much on beer and IPAs and shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe those acids are like coming up and stuff like that. But it started to get to the point where after a month or two, I was like, yo, it feels like it's not getting any better. I might have a day or two where it did feel like it was getting better. And then bam, it was right back the next day. And then I noticed.
You're talking about while on fruits and veggies?
No. This is
okay.
before I was 100% on the 30-day grind. This is before then.
Mm-mm.
And then I noticed the same thing on the other arm, and I was tripping out. I'm a barber, so
You was going in full acidosis mode.
Yeah, for real. But it didn't make any sense to me because I wasn't wilding at that time. But maybe it was just like I built it up over the couple months I was bugging out, and then finally it was like, all right, now it's trying to come out of my system.
Yeah.
But as a barber, the first thing I thought, because of where it was and the kind of the shape, I was like, oh shit, did somebody give me ringworm? Because I never had eczema for real. So I was like, maybe I like touched somebody's head and I didn't notice they had something or whatever. That's what I thought it was originally. And then it started spreading like it was. Then when it came to this side, I was like, okay, this is definitely not ringworm. And it was tripping me out because I was like, how did it pop up on the other arm? But anyway, 20 something days into all fruits, completely gone. Like gone.
So it was there at the start of it?
Yes. 100%.
Only on the right arm?
No, on both.
Okay, and you have photos of this shit too, right?
I do have photos, but I have some where you can see it kind of well. Others where it just looks like it's a red spot.
Yeah.
But if you actually felt it, it was like hard, dry, itchy skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I really hope this goes away. I don't know what's going on. And I halfway through, like probably day 15, it wasn't 100% gone, but it was better. And I was questioning like if it would really go away. And here I am, day 25, it's completely gone. Like my skin feels baby smooth. You can see the skin where it was lighter, but I think that's just because it's new cells.
Let me ask you though. You're just trying to do 30 days.
That's how I started.
But
yeah.
After the 30 days, how are you trying to eat?
I would say I'm trying to maintain this diet for the most part, like 90% be on this.
90% raw fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. And then occasionally I will dabble or have things if I want to just experience the food or my wife cooks.
Like as in anything or just
not anything.
Trying to stick more veganish.
I still
plant-based stuff.
Yeah, I still stay more plant-based vegan
plant-based
type.
stuff.
I don't claim myself to be a vegan, but by definition, it naturally ends up being more plant-based vegan.
So are you planning on still eating meat?
Seafood, definitely, because I love seafood. And if I'm going to eat a meat, I'd rather it be further away from the evolutionary pool than ours.
Yeah.
So definitely I'm going to eat seafood. Sushi. I love sushi. So I don't see myself ever fully getting rid of that.
Yeah. I mean, if
now.
you're going to eat a meat, at least when you eat seafood, it's less complex than eating some a land creature like a cow or something like that.
Less emotion.
Exactly. Less stuff for your body to actually download and complexity for it. Whereas seafood would be the less complex level of meat.
Right. Especially, and even with the emotion aspect and all that, it makes sense to me, but I can't really know how deep the emotion of a fish goes. You know what I'm saying? But it makes sense based on the way.
Have you seen the videos on cows crying?
No.
Like cows crying, it's very sad.
Yeah, I imagine. I'm already getting sad thinking about it. What is it? Is it on Cowspiracy?
No. It's just random videos of like the emotions that cows have and stuff like that, and they're definitely advanced.
I have a client who worked.
They just can't communicate with us. The same thing as like, I don't know if I would put them on the same level as dolphins, but
similar idea.
Yeah.
Which is another. There's so many topics off this one thing. But I have a client a client who used to come to me, and he worked at a slaughterhouse, which they don't call it that anymore. I think they call it processing plant. Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says he wouldn't. After working there, he stopped eating beef 100% because he works at a beef plant. He still dabbles in chicken and stuff like that. But even when he walks through a grocery store, he says he looks at the beef and he can smell the stench of the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And that it's just horrendous. And I'm like,
yeah.
I could not imagine. He talked about how they, impale them, and it's just wild.
So you're just more trying to stick to seafood.
Yeah.
But you don't want to obviously commit to be like, I'm never going to eat meat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like occasionally, like
just primarily for raw fruits and veggies and whatever you feel like eating for like pleasure purposes.
Right. And I think it always comes down to the awareness level you have. Like if I decide to have a chicken taco, which I'm sure I will. And for example, a birria taco, you know what a birria taco is?
No.
I have never had one, but from what I hear, my mouth is watering right now. I've never had.
First
you know
of
what
all,
it is?
You mentioned Harry's earlier, and I literally tasted the chicken and grits that they have there. And
I love Harry's.
Yeah. Just so you just go ahead and finish it.
No, I was gonna say I was supposed to have a meeting at Harry's at 1 today, and it got rescheduled.
Okay.
And I was just gonna sit there just watching them eat, and just be like, "Damn."
Do you eat a lot of bread?
I would say before this experience, yes, I love bread, but I know that it's terrible.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? Sandwiches, bro.
Yeah,
bro. I love.
I
sandwiches.
literally just realized that today. Not today. The last couple days, because I've been having. So I've been on all fruits right now. This is day 14.
Okay,
just all water-rich fruits.
I'm actually
besides
surprised.
Bananas. So it's bananas and then all water-rich fruit. You're surprised.
But why do you automatically eliminate non-water-rich fruit?
Because the whole point of me going all fruits is to maximize the level of cleansing. And if you eat something like an avocado, it lowers that. And I felt that, like, if I was to eat an avocado right now, it would almost be equivalent to. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but it's that feeling when you eat a Chinese food.
Yeah, that's extreme exaggeration.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel something similar to that, but on a lower level.
Way lower level. Because it's still like cleansing.
It feels like that.
Fruit,
though, yeah.
It's just not nearly as powerful.
It has a lot of lipids and shit like that in it, which it sits in your stomach more. So it stops. I can feel it.
Because it's more fatty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can feel it not optimizing what I'm trying to do on it. Which obviously when I try and do something, I try and go
to
completely
the complete max.
Exactly.
Right? Well, let's see if you can hit 30 days, man. Because that's one thing I called you out on. Because you put your days right now, but you didn't put any kind of goal.
Yeah.
Which I get. You want to go as long as possible. But if you don't at least set a minimum requirement, whenever you stop, you'll just be like, yeah, I did what I did.
Well, no, because my goal, I guess my unofficial goal is 6 months.
Okay.
Because I want
unofficial.
Yes.
So what's your official?
Because I want to go further than that if possible, but at least 6 months because I want to document that whole 6 month experience, which I'm already doing.
Right.
I've been posting stories and stuff like that, and I'm accumulating videos on my experience, and I'm gonna start posting them on YouTube soon. And specifically, and I've been writing down what's been happening. Like actually today, is weird because I would say 2 or 3 days out of the last 14 days, I had anxiety or anxiousness. And I feel my lower back, like, and I think it's because of the sea moss, because the sea moss stimulates your skin a lot.
Right.
So the lymphatic system starts moving, and I feel like it's overworking my kidneys, which is stimulating the adrenal glands above the kidneys. and it's giving me a slight anxiety and anxiousness. And there was like 2 or 3 times throughout this week that I had to just lay down. Like I was just like, damn, like, and then I just wanted to lay down. I laid down for 20 minutes and then it went away.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like me laying down kind of relaxed it or whatever. And kind of, I don't know what it did, but I was getting those type of feelings. And the last 2 days, besides today I had a smoothie, courtesy of Jeremy. He hooked me up with a smoothie today. But the last 2 days, I didn't even feel like eating. I unintentionally water fasted the last 2 days. So I just had, I had a small cup of apple juice.
You're just trying to see that scale drop, baby.
So,
yeah? You're like,
no.
let me go water only.
No, I legitimately, no. I mean, I have lost what? I started at 243 pounds, which is big as hell. 243.8 pounds. I'm at like, I think, 27 pounds right now. So
Wait.
that's 16 pounds.
Yeah, I did. I think I started at 158, 159, and I'm at 144 right now.
Oh, word. I mean, the first 2 weeks is going to be a big jump because of the water weight.
Yeah.
So that's 16 pounds. I mean, I'm going to continue to eat, lose more. But for me, I'm not eating as much. Like when you first went on all fruits, you were eating a lot.
At the
beginning.
beginning of my journey.
Yeah, at the beginning of it. For me, I'm getting maybe like 5-6 hours of sleep max.
But that's because you have a much bigger reserve of energy and fat storage. I'm not even saying jokingly. No. I'm saying yes, because that's your body uses that for energy, so you don't need as much.
I would say maybe that plays a factor, but I wouldn't say it plays as big of a factor as you're playing it to be.
It's pretty obvious to me.
I was like that even before, but before I got fat. And
I was gonna say double rice at hibachi is not fucking not eating. I'll tell you that.
But I've also been on Dr. Morse's herbs for over a decade, and I think that helps with cleaning out my colon and maybe absorbing it better. That's my theory on it.
I should have an order of those herbs coming in this week, by the way.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my theory on it. But I've actually been eating just small portions of fruit. Mm-hmm. So I'll eat just a small bowl of grapes, and then 1 orange, and then maybe a banana, and just water. And I'm talking about like I'm not even really drinking water like that. Like 1 water bottle for the whole day. Yeah, if that, because I'm already hydrated from all the fruit I'm eating.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't need the water.
I usually drink. So my day usually works out like I'll have, let's say, a working day. I'll wake up, work out, fasted, not eating anything. Mm-hmm. Take a shower. I don't know why they included that, but I'm like running through my schedule. Then I'll have my tea first. That's the first thing I drink is the burdock nettle tea. And then I'll have my smoothie after, which will be whatever concoction of fruits that's in there. And then sea moss is in there as well as milk thistle. My wife, Jessica might only put milk thistle in hers, not mine. But I get sea moss in mine too. So I'll have that smoothie, and then I'll be just off that until I decide I'm hungry or want to eat, which might be like 2:00. Mm-hmm. And I'll probably have depends on whatever fruit I decided to bring that day. Like yesterday I had 3 peaches and 2 avocados. And that was my lunch until I went home at like 10, and then I had a salad with avocados and tomatoes.
Another thing though too is the salt. Because I'm still eating salt. I'm very addicted. Yeah. If I could take salt, it would be so much easier.
Why can't you? What's wrong with that?
Because salt is not good for you.
That's not true.
Yes, it is not good for you.
You're saying pink Himalayan salt.
I'm not saying pink Himalayan salt.
Okay.
However, I don't know enough about
table salt.
Yes, just table salt in general.
That's a good
white
question.
salt.
Let's look it up a little bit.
But I don't know enough about pink Himalayan salt. If anything, I've heard supposedly good things about that. But the salt, especially the iodine salt, causes
that I know
imbalances in you, and you become addicted to the salt.
Yeah.
And which also, last time when I reached 14 days on fruits, my salt craving was so extreme, it was ridiculous. Like I was, by the way, just as a funny thing, I literally right now, because my mind shows me images of foods that I want to eat, but I'm not trying to eat. And it's like withdrawals.
My mind shows me images. I'm just like
mental image. Like it's like a mental detox where it's like showing me like when you said Harry's, immediately my mind, like I tasted the chicken and grits in my mouth.
Yeah.
But you just have to fight through it, the willpower mentally until it gets it out.
That actually helps me. What I was saying is talking about the foods more. Like some people would avoid talking about it.
Yeah.
But like when we're in the barbershop, I'm like asking everybody, yo, what you doing for lunch? Where are you going? And I just want to like, for one, I want to see what they're eating just out of curiosity. And then also I'm kind of vicariously going to lunch with them mentally.
Yeah.
So it's like they'll come back from...
It's kind of like your little your sample to kind of get off of the
exactly.
Like you got to get a little bit of it, but the little bit is me. I've actually been smelling the food.
Oh hell yeah!
So
as soon as I get in,
so I don't even know why, because I don't even eat Doritos. But my dad got like these flaming hot Doritos, and the smell
Doritos.
I don't even eat Doritos.
That's not even
That's what I'm
good
saying.
smelling compared to cooked
I know.
food.
That's what I'm saying. So but it still smelled good because
like, this MSG smells amazing.
And it's interesting because I feel like I'm like addicted to the chemicals that are trying to get you like, hey, come eat me like that. Like
pause.
So I'm smelling that, and it kind of helps me get over it. Right.
That's how I feel, and they'll come back from.
Even if I smell like if there was rice and beans and chicken, I would smell it, and it kind of like helps me. Like, okay, I smelt it, because I think also you're also consuming something with the receptors in your nose.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When you're doing that, and it's like, okay,
almost breatharian like.
Yeah, I almost just absorbed a little bit. All right, on to the next.
So it's like
one.
putting your hands over it, just like. That shit's good. Like Jessica made. I think did I tell you the other day? I came home from something. Jessica had just made white rice. And it just smelled banging,
which I'm not trying to eat anymore.
And it was if I'm gonna eat rice, I'd rather
whole grain.
But I'm still gonna eat white rice.
Yeah.
I
came to the realization as an Asian, it's going to be very hard. I'm gonna just eat whole grain rice, but not a lot of it. Like in my life, like that's what I'm trying to transition to.
I hope to see that. But let's officially staple your goal then. Your official goal.
I don't want to do that because there is no official goal. It is as long as
your
I can
official minimum goal
is 6 months.
Okay, so then there is no not wanting to do it. 6 months. So you're going for 6 months on 100% fruits and herbs and shit.
Exactly.
That's a big step from your 16 days to 6 months. I feel like a big jump was doubling it to 30. Mm-hmm. Which I feel good about. But now that I've done that so easily, I feel like I could definitely do 90.
I feel like 30 days on veggies and fruits, I could do very easily, especially with salt. Easily.
Let's see if you do it on regular fruits first.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can talk about if you would do it regularly.
Easily.
Because for me, I would say
pink Himalayan salt.
Because for me, I would say it's
that's
the same
main thing. Because for me, it's potato chips. Like I want the
only time pink Himalayan salt comes out for me is if I'm eating an avocado.
It doesn't matter. If
you say it like you're just gonna be putting it on everything, like ooh, mango, pink Himalayan salt.
No, I'm just saying even having it once a week is a lot.
That sounds like some serious fiend shit, bro. It's not that serious.
You haven't tried it, so
I haven't tried not doing. Yeah. Yes, I have. I've gone plenty of 3s, 5s, 7s, 10 days, 15 days. My first
went 15 days.
My first time doing 16 days, I didn't use anything. It was just straight.
Still.
So I'm telling you, by doing both, it's the same thing.
No, it's not the same.
It's
definitely not the same.
Well, let's see you do both and then find out.
Did you hear about the Georgia Guidestones, by the way?
No, I don't even. I remember.
Do you know
slightly
what
they are?
Okay,
barely.
So they're pretty much these stones that are made in Georgia in the 1980s. I don't really know if they know officially who did it, but it's anonymous people who are supposedly funding these Georgia Guidestones.
Hold on, let me borrow that. Because I'm not on the internet. I got to check something while you tell me.
Okay.
What?
Well, I need this.
I know. But what were you saying?
So
what are the Georgia Guidestones?
So the Georgia Guidestones are located in Georgia, and it's kind of like the America USA Stonehenge. And they were funded by from the knowledge I know, is anonymous people. And they has it in different languages. This message on how to maintain tranquility or a harmonious civilization with nature. And pretty much somebody set off an explosion in it. and destroyed it.
But wait, hold on. Before to the explosion.
I don't know exactly if it was a bomb or something like that. Obviously,
No,
it was
I'm saying
something.
before the explosion.
Okay.
Before we even talk about the explosion, because that's a recent thing. Hold on. The internet's not even working on this, bro. The internet doesn't even work. So whatever. I'm trying to find out the Himalayan pink salt shit. But anyway,
Jeremy can look it up.
this isn't on Wi-Fi. You got it? Just look up the difference between Himalayan pink salt versus regular table salt.
Well, anyway, so
But hold on, before you get to the explosion. So these anonymous people
yes, funded
the creation of a stone
yes.
that has rules for how to live harmoniously with nature, but with no no context to it. Though, just here's how you live harmoniously with nature. There's no context on what
I wouldn't. It's not the exact phrase, but that is the summary of what I get from it, which is
it's not
how to live a civilization on the planet properly, according to them.
Whoever.
So let me read. I want to read what's actually written.
But nobody knows who them is.
No.
So why would anyone pay attention, not knowing who the
because they? It's not that they're paying attention. It's wondering. It's about
the concept.
Who made this and why was this created and why is it considered a monument? But pretty much, there's a lot of things with a lot of Christians that say it's satanic and all these other things. And I'm also weary of this message of it could be from the elites. It could be from anybody.
I'm weary of a lot of things, but I also don't hate the jump to automatic Satanism. Like, oh yeah, anything that looks bad.
Let me read what's on it first.
Yeah, well, I know, but I'm just saying as a general rule.
Reason why it's, first of all, let me just say the languages it's in is English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russia.
It's written in all those languages.
All those languages in each side of the stones. So it's like it's stones in a circle, and it's written in all those languages. But what's inscribed in it is 10 principles or guidelines to maintain this harmonious whatever of humanity on the earth. And the first one is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Under 500 million?
500 million. We're almost at what, 8-9 billion people on the planet, and that's the reason why they talk about it's part of the New World Order and the people who are trying to take over the world is because who's going to decide on the 500 million people that are here, and how are you going to get rid of the other ones? And then you relate that to what they're trying to do as far as depopulation, which is very clearly that they're trying to depopulate people
right
in the incorrect way. If you wanted to, in my opinion, if you wanted to consciously depopulate the planet, if it was a population problem,
right,
then you would consciously make everyone aware of the situation and the reasons why that it's overpopulated, and individually give each person empowerment through knowledge of that. Because once you know that, now you're consciously thinking collectively on a conscious level where you're like, okay, maybe these next 5 years or 10 years, let's just have one child. Not that I'm going to do it. I'm just saying,
right? You could consciously make that decision
exactly
for the greater good of everybody.
Exactly. I don't like that phrase, but yes.
Wait, why don't you like the phrase?
Because that is a New World Order phrase, greater good, and they use that as a tool to say, oh, this is a greater good, and it's a manipulation. When in reality, it's bad what they're trying to do, because they try and do.
That's when they're
vaccines.
Using the word.
They try and do vaccines greater good. Yeah, when they're using the
okay,
good.
But using the word.
It's
in
only
English
used
language.
by them. It's only used by them. That's what I'm trying to say.
No.
Yes.
You're saying regular conversation. I just used it, not having any intention for
It is primarily used from them, and you heard it from somebody who was using it from them.
No, that's a common phrase when you're talking about a larger group of people and trying to do
I don't
good.
care. Anyways, no, it's not.
That's your rage towards the establishment.
So anyways,
yeah.
No, it's not. That's their key phrase. It's a fact.
So that's a motto?
Yeah, that's one of their things they always say is for the greater good.
Because it's
and it came
two
from
English
them.
words that go
Nobody
together.
was saying that until they started saying it.
No, you probably just started paying more attention to it.
No, they weren't really saying that. It is obviously it is a general word phrase.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So if you use
However,
it in a regular statement,
it is always used
by them.
just like woke. Why don't you like the word woke?
Okay, nobody would ever use the word woke in regular language. No, totally different. Woke came along with that movement. greater good are just two words talking about
No.
a good of a greater thing.
No, and all the elites use it, which it is part of that culture of the elites. That's what you're not understanding.
I understand what you're
Anyways,
saying. I'm just
no,
saying
you're
you're
just-
being stubborn on it.
No, I'm not.
Because
I'm telling you
I
what
just
it is.
used the word as a casual statement. The
Okay.
greater good.
You can, and I just said I don't like the word because that is their word. That's
It's
all
not
I
their
said.
word. It's a word they use.
Yeah,
It's not theirs.
Just
I
like
can
woke.
use it.
Anyways,
That's stupid argument.
that's not a stupid argument.
Go ahead.
You're
Continue.
retarded. It's the same thing as woke.
That's messed up. There's people out there who
That's
are
fine.
affected by that word. That's fucked up.
I don't mean offense to them, so it doesn't matter. It's unintentional. But anyway, so number 2 is to guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity, which I agree with.
To guide information wisely and
Guide reproduction
okay.
wisely, improving fitness and diversity. That's number 2. I'm just going to read all of them first.
Okay.
Unite humanity with a living new language. I don't know what that...
Maybe they're talking about the greater good.
Probably. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Not a fan of faith, but protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Far from that. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. I would say we would get to a certain point that we would probably need a world court, but
Yeah, I was gonna say what would be your argument on that? Because that doesn't sound terrible to me.
it doesn't sound terrible. It's more just
That would be
who's
like
running
war
the world.
crimes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But-
the thing. It should be everybody, not just one select group of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily disagree with all the rest. The only one I'm concerned about is the first one. But avoid petty laws and useless officials, which is
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Balance personal rights with social duties. Yeah. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite, which is
Sounds
fine.
good.
Be not a cancer on earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. And those are the 10. But the only one that I'm concerned about is the 500 million. Because
That doesn't sound satanic to me.
they associate it because it is connected with the New World. They're theorizing it is with the New World Order.
That's what
because
I
it's
wanna keep
anonymous who
specifying.
created it.
It's anonymous, so that we're just assuming it's the New World Order.
I'm assuming also that everyone that's elite is trying to do depopulation.
I agree.
And they have the guide stones that are saying to bring it to 500 million. But
I agree, but I'm just
But
saying the jump to
obviously-
automatically assuming
of course, but they're just relating it to
it's saying,
New World Order
this
stuff.
makes sense. These
Okay,
dots
but
make sense.
The reason why they're doing that though is because if you already know the New World Order and you're associating that with satanic rituals and child molestations, all these other things that they do underground,
yeah,
and then you are associating that with this,
right, but
then
that's an
that's
assumption.
the connection. Okay, but it's all a theory.
All
But
right.
however, theory backed up by a lot of things though. That doesn't make it absolute, but I'm just saying that's why they would call it satanic, because they're thinking they're going to eliminate 8 billion
yeah.
people and only 500 million people can live, and when is this going to implement? And you have to also question as to why the healthcare system isn't helping anybody. It's making everybody worse, and that's trying to just make everybody fall off like dominoes, just one at a time.
Well, that's where the argument I would say is more debatable, because it doesn't make sense for the medical community to want to depopulate, because that's the money. Because the less people they have in the medical system, the less money they have.
Yeah, but that's just the thing that's driving the suffering is the money, and they're using that as a tool. But in reality, they don't need money. The people who are actually running it,
Yeah.
don't need money.
But
but they're using
they're not
that.
the
They're
only people,
using
though.
they're using the capitalism as a
tool,
vehicle,
right?
and the flaws in capitalism,
To
which is
fuel their goal.
crony capitalism, not real capitalism, but it's crony capitalism,
Which is
and creating monopolies and all these things, which is control of it, which you're not supposed to have,
right.
to drive that into the suffering and the money. And that's their excuse. Oh, it's just about the money, and leaving the emotion out of it. But in reality, what they're trying to do is make everyone sick and make everyone pretty much lose their genetics as a true human beings, no pun intended. And
We'll take it. Yo, my bad, Jeremy. Go
But
ahead. Could you try to get me on the internet, bro? I can't.
to but get us to pretty much like our true genetic optimal form as human beings and lower us from that for whatever the hell sick reason or whatever the reason, if that's true, that they're doing it.
Do you think that plan for them would even be feasible?
It's already happening.
No,
Hell yeah.
I didn't say plausible. Feasible, as in do you think that there's a chance they will actually achieve that?
If they've convinced the entire world to wear a mask, yes. I had faith.
I'd say that's low level.
I would say
That doesn't surprise me as much. I feel like there's levels above
I would say
that.
that's insane to me. And,
yeah, I agree.
And it actually
I'm not surprised.
It actually disappointed me a lot. Actually.
Of course, yeah. But I'm
because
also
I had
not
a lot
surprised.
more positive outlook on things, and because of that, I was like, I couldn't believe how many people would just.
You don't think that people
that.
might just think that that's too small of a thing to worry about? I'm not. Obviously, people like us are not going to feel that way. I will tell you a story about that in a minute, actually. But I'm just saying, knowing what we know about the level of consciousness already, it's not surprising that so many people would just willingly give up the freedom to not wear a mask. So versus the higher levels of the plan taking place before most people are like, oh, hell no, like we got to draw the line somewhere. Like for you, you're looking like, okay, drawing the line at masks, which I understand. And if anybody else doesn't, it's like, well, we're clearly all fucked. Versus I'm saying maybe there's a couple next steps that they would attempt that then people would then be like, okay, no, this is more people would start to realize at a certain level where it's going.
I mean, that's what's happening now.
Right. So my
awakening.
point, that's what I'm saying. So you're saying, oh yeah, definitely it'll happen. I'm definitely more on the side of it's not going to reach their goal.
Oh no, I don't think so either.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, yeah, no. I don't actually think they're going to get through with it because I think there's enough people that are actually trying to do something about it, and I also think that
Thank you, bro.
Us actually going through the down times and the bad times and the worst of times in turn allows us to reflect on that and choose to be on the other side of the spectrum.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes for a civilization as a whole, I wouldn't say on an individual level it's necessary, but on a civilizational level, on the consciousness of everybody, it may actually be necessary. Because there's sometimes in my thought process is maybe they're doing this on purpose they're obviously doing it on purpose, but I mean like they're doing it on purpose to actually try and wake us up. Because it's so bad that it's like, are you really not going to wake up after we do this?
Wait,
like,
why would they want us to wake up?
That's this I'm saying as an argument against it just being completely
against
bad.
it being okay. I see
so
what you're
like
saying. Right.
Somebody who like let's say we're talking about people who are thinking on let's say a universal level.
Right.
Like they go to planet. Like let's say if there was someone who goes to planets and tries to guide planets into the direction of civilization.
That would make sense.
And they say, well, they have to go through these things as a civilization to be able to learn from it, like world wars and all these things,
right?
To be able to advance from that. Because if you never experienced that, then you wouldn't know what it's like, and you wouldn't know why, and it wouldn't give you value of why the other spectrum of it, the positive side of it, is what you want, because you didn't experience that other side.
Yeah, just
and
like
there's a side of me that I think sometimes maybe, damn, do they do that? But then it's kind of like, but then some of the shit they do is like, damn, you could do it way, like it's pretty extreme.
Well, what I think though is that when we say they, it's the New World Order.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's different factions within it that have different intentions.
Do extreme shit. Or
And then there's ones that maybe, not every group of people is going to agree on everything, obviously. Right. So I'm sure that there's people on like you said, on the extreme side, and people who are more reasonable. And then people who maybe, even though it wasn't agreed upon, go through with an action anyway, or leak a plan anyway. This way it can already kind of get the ball rolling. And then there's an argument on how to fix it. So I feel that way. And then when you talk about if somebody's universal going to other planets, that's where the argument for a New World Order makes sense. Because if you talk about a completely harmonious, full planet of people, there has to be one government, essentially. Right?
Yeah. Some people, there's a
go ahead.
There's a group of people in the conspiracy realm, right? These people like, let's say there's certain people that can't grasp the concept. They think that one world government ultimately is always bad. Where I'm more like, it is bad in the way that it is going now.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, when we get to that level of traveling space and on a regular basis, or getting to that higher levels of civilization, it's going to be necessary, because now we're living as a planetary unit.
Right, exactly.
And something would have to be there. Now, it should be obviously based on the people and not unelected people like the United Nations and the WHO organization and all these people, because it should be actually elected people with actual elections that actually are true.
Yeah.
And are actually valid.
It's also a new thing that the world has never had. Our world has never had.
And it's always going to be friction.
Yeah.
Like
and friction and also mistakes, because if you think about governments as they were being established over the history that we know to be true based on what we're taught, then from the barbarians all the way up until where we're at now, there were plenty of different empirical states or governments that did horrible jobs. Right. And they didn't do anything right, but it was necessary to get to where, let's say, America's government is today, which right now, based on everything else, is probably the best version.
I mean, America, I would say America formed from a deep level of corruption.
Right.
And as a consequence of that, America was founded. But now we're going back to that. But
a deep level of corruption through centuries of different parts of the world experiencing the same thing. So now it's the same thing, but on a planetary level. So now it makes sense that we would go to a horrible version of a planetary government, and maybe centuries more horrible versions of planetary governments.
I see what you're saying.
Until we get
as
one
a necessary that makes them thing,
right. Until we get the planetary new world order that actually makes the sense that the real thing is supposed to do.
But I would also say that I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary in our age that we're in now.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But it may work out that way.
It may, because, and this is where I combat myself, where it's like, well, if they're doing it to actually try and save us, then they wouldn't be doing these things or these things, or like deeper levels of like horrible stuff like drugs and like deep level drugs, or like child kidnappings, all these things. Whatever's going on,
which could also be those ulterior motive factions, not the whole thing.
Yeah. But it's because if you really wanted to do that, you would go the Sadhguru route, which is individually try and work on every individual to raise their consciousness.
If you were that conscious,
but it's like, well, if you were that conscious to understand civilizational karmic cycles,
I don't think they all do though.
But I'm just saying, if there was, let's say, one group or unit of people, right, the elite of the elite, who's like can go to planets or whatever, and they're guiding our civilization in whatever direction they want, based
on just the fact that they have the ability to do that,
and they understand those cycles. So if you understand the karmic cycle of a civilization based on unconscious cycles, not unconscious people who go past it beyond the cycles, then you would actually, if you wanted to optimize that civilization, you would actually individually do what Sadhguru was doing. Or like, they do. I feel like they do, because there's all these other people who awaken randomly, or they have these experiences that, help raise the consciousness of it. But why are you doing all these other negative things if in turn, if you become that conscious, you will third personally understand the other things?
I don't think
bad things.
I would give the benefit of the doubt on that and say that whoever that person is, because they are human, right? At least assuming they are human, they have only lived a certain amount of time and were in that position based on certain parameters in their life. So there are certain things that just because they're in that position of power doesn't mean that they have a fully balanced consciousness already.
Yeah.
They just happen to be in that position with those resources. So naturally, to do those kinds of levels of accomplishments and things, you have to delegate so much work, and you don't actually have your hand in everything going on at the same time. So you're going to naturally, like a store, a grocery store, would already have an amount of inventory that they expect to be stolen. It would be like a similar analogy. Like you just already expect that there's certain things that are going to go awry, but you're willing to tolerate a certain amount of it for the greater good, right, of that process. And that they maybe not, or another angle of that, because that's I'm still standing on that too. But another angle will be maybe they're trying so hard to accomplish as much as they can in this lifetime that some of the decisions they make are maybe impulsive or maybe made too quickly without taking so many of those things into consideration, because maybe there's factors involved that we don't know, that they're like, well, shit, if we're going to beat this, then we just got to do it this way then. You know what I mean? So if you really give them the benefit of the doubt, it actually gets way more interesting.
Yeah.
Quickly though, before I forget, first of all, I'm browsing on the pink Himalayan salt. I definitely need more time to go into this because first of all, I don't even trust a lot of these websites, but there may actually not be as big of a difference as people think because it doesn't seem like there's that much research on it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look like there may be that as big of a difference. But
I would say maybe like naturalnews.com or something like that would do it.
I'm going to do more research for later.
Yeah.
But I'm still using it.
I mean, I'm not saying not to.
No, I know. I'm just saying I'm not going to give up salt, period.
I'm just saying I'm addicted to it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm not giving it up. I'm drawing the line somewhere. But no, the story I was going to tell you, was I went to the VA the other day because I had an appointment. I had to get blood work done. Just for an annual thing. Like every year you have to, if you want to update keep your status up to date, you have to go for an annual checkup. And then before your annual checkup, you got to do blood work. Mm-hmm. So long story short, I go, oh my gosh, maybe not as short. I'm sitting there, or I go inside. I'm like, hey, do I need to do any check-in for blood work or just go to the lab? So they send me to the lab. But right when I walk away from the desk, there's a lady sitting next to that gentleman I asked. And as I'm walking away, she tries giving me a mask. She's like this. She's like, sir. But I'm walking away like, no, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Totally good. And she's
totally
like,
good.
She's like, no, you need one. And I'm like, no, I'll be all right. I'm good. So I just keep walking. And then I'm like, thank you, though. I'm not being nice, so I'm not being an asshole. So I'm like, thank you, bro. I'm good. And then I sit down to wait. And while I'm sitting down and waiting, I'm waiting for like probably 40 minutes total. But maybe 15, 20 minutes into it, a dude walks up and sits 1 to 2 chairs next to me with a legit gas mask on. Military issue gas mask. The one Call of Duty, like what you would think of when you see a like Genocide's logo for the studio.
I was just gonna say like the Quarantine Studios.
Shout out Quarantine Studios, mixed by Genocide. But just like that, bro. Like sealed on, the same one I have with the filters on the front. And it was an older.
He wasn't trolling.
I considered that for a minor moment and then realized after observing,
no way.
He's dead ass serious. And I would never troll to that level. Like that shit is uncomfortable.
If you're gonna troll to that level, you might as well just wear a suit, like one of those white contamination suits. Okay,
and he's exactly. He's sitting in there with the full straps, and he's just chilling. And he sits next to me, puts his arm up, and he's just looking around. And I start laughing when I see him, like dead ass. Like I'm not like loud and obnoxious, but I am laughing. And then I'm looking, and I'm the only one in the waiting room without a mask. Everyone sitting around me has one. I'm just like, what the fuck? And so he walks in, and he's just sitting there chilling. And I just like I make eye contact with him. I look over, and I'm just like.
Yeah, they're trying to bring that back for whatever reason. I haven't been up to date on any of this because I've been on a hiatus because
I don't even pay any attention to it. But so anyway, so then I'm getting called up, and the lady comes back. Before I get called up, the lady from the front who I was like, no, I'm good. She comes back with a mask and tries to hand it to me. I was like, I'm good. I'm not wearing that. I'm not wearing it. She's like, but you need it. And I'm like, no. There was a sign on the door that said, even if there wasn't a sign still, but the sign on the door was saying, please, everyone should wear a mask, patients and providers, da-da-da. And so I was like, no, that sign says should. I just did that so it can end, because even if it said required, I'm still not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, so I was like, I'm not wearing it. So anyway, she walks away. 5 minutes later, they call me up. They call my ticket number. And like I said, I've been waiting for 40 minutes at this point. And I get up and I walk in and hand her my thing. I'm standing right in front of the chair where they would take my blood. I go to hand her my ticket, and the two ladies there, the two phlebotomists, are like looking at me crazy. They're just like, and I'm like trying to give her my ticket, and she's like, oh, you have your mask? Where's your mask? And I'm like, I don't have a mask. And they're like, oh, well, we can't service you without a mask. And I'm just like, all right. So I just put my ticket down and walk out. I'm like, I'll just let my doctor know. I don't even want to do the blood work. I'm here because my doctor told me I got to get blood work.
Yeah, yeah.
So they deny me while I'm standing right there. They don't take my blood because I'm not wearing a mask.
Sheep.
And I'm like, I didn't. But at this point, I'm over arguing. I don't argue with anybody anymore. I'm just not gonna do it. So I'll just leave.
I honestly think it's embarrassing, like
for them.
There's still people. Yeah,
yeah. And I'm in a building full of them.
Yeah.
And then I go to walk out, and they still kind of look like taken aback. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. I'm not gonna put it on. And if you're not at this point, I don't want you to stick a needle in my arm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, I'm not even comfortable with you doing it.
Yeah.
So then I leave. And the next day, they call me. The VA calls me. And it's like, hey, just wanted to know you missed your appointment for your blood work. And I was like, stop. I was like, no, I did not miss my appointment. I was there. I waited for 40 minutes. I got called up into the clinic, the lab, and they didn't want to take my blood because I wasn't wearing a mask. So no, I did not miss my appointment. And they're like, oh, I see. And they're like, yeah, that's definitely the building rules. You have to wear a mask. And I was like, well, I'm not wearing a mask. Yeah. So they're not taking my blood. I was there. They didn't take my blood. I did my part. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what we're going to do. And I'm like, well, the doctor wants my blood work. I don't care. I'm there. They didn't want to do it. I don't understand why it's difficult. So they're like, okay, we'll call you back. So anyway, they call me back and they're like, okay, so what we can do is we can make you a virtual appointment to see your doctor. And then we can send you out a kit. And if she still wants you to get your lab work, then you could go wherever you want. And I'm just like, all right, if you want to go through all that, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll go wherever they're going to take my blood. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They're trying to kill you with the inconvenience.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't care.
That was the whole object of it.
And that's for everybody. Because as soon as they just make it too inconvenient for you to just give up your freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
And I tell my wife, right? And she's like, obviously, she's like, you're really going to let that stop you? And I'm like, yes. 100%. Because you have to draw the line.
Exactly.
I'm not putting a mask. There's no reason for me. Everybody in this building has a mask on. Why do I need one on?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the difference? Plus, I can see all your noses and mouths through your mask anyway. So what?
And your breath is just coming out through the sides and the tops. And
it's stupid.
And it says on the box, doesn't help prevent COVID.
And even if it did work, which it doesn't, I'm not wearing it. Exactly. Why does it matter to you?
Exactly.
You're wearing it. Why does it matter? It doesn't matter at all.
Exactly.
Put 3 on if you need to because I'm not wearing one. But anyway, so that's how that went. And then it's funny.
Oh, that's not, according to Dr. Fauci, that's 90% efficacy. 3 masks.
So I'm cutting
if you believe it, I want to see everyone wearing 3 masks.
I'm cutting my client's hair.
Everything's real.
When they call me and I'm having this conversation and everyone's in here and I'm just like, I'm not wearing a mask or whatever. So I was like, okay, that'd be great. But like I said, I'm not being an asshole and I'm just like, great, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take all the help I can get, but I'm just not doing that. Yeah. So then I hang up and my client's like, starts asking me about it. So what happened? And I tell him and then he's like, so you just didn't do it? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so what if they say this or they do this? And I'm like, I just don't do it. I just don't do it. It's my life. It's my body.
Yeah.
If I'm not putting it on, I'm not putting it on. You know what I'm saying?
They want your silent acquiescence to it, where it is by actions that you are giving up your freedom. And by accepting those things and thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to do it because they say it. They aren't allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. Everyone's just following these fake rules. They're not allowed to make you do that. Mm-hmm. And if everybody stops, it stops there.
Exactly.
They're trying to bring it back too. And it's getting ridiculous.
And then he tells me, he's like, oh, I totally get your side. I understand.
Clearly
100%. No. It's like when you talk about certain things and it's like, you get it, but you're just not going to follow through with that. So he's like, no, I definitely see what you're saying and I don't think you're wrong. But he's basically ended up saying, it's just to a certain point where it's like, okay, this is just annoying me now. Let me just do this. Yeah, and it's like, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Exactly.
Because now you're just inconvenienced.
And on top of that, on top of the inconvenience, you have no time. Mm-hmm. You're barely making ends meet with paycheck to paycheck.
You're forced to comply.
Exactly. They've been slowly preparing for this situation
for decades.
Exactly. I would say, yeah.
But
for a very long time.
So once you're in, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that they're preparing you in this situation where anything that is causing friction in your life, like that, you just accept it because you don't want to deal with it because you have so much other shit you're dealing with.
Yeah, which is understandable, but that's why people need to understand how to create their own lives
exactly
in a way that they have control and they're not dependent on these establishments. Because that was the first thing I told him. He's from New York City, and just being from a city, I that's exactly the conversation I went into, and I started talking about the need for self-sufficiency and self-dependence. Because the more you are self-sufficient, the less control they have over you.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to listen, and there's nothing they can do to make you listen. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, the only thing, if you wanted to force me to do anything right now, the only thing that I might potentially be vulnerable to is if you try to pull up to my house and take my family right now. Like, and I wasn't prepared for that situation, which I am. You're getting shot up. But not by me, because I'm not there. The family's got it ready. You know what I'm saying? But that's like the most dramatic level. And it's just like anything
they actually do, but
yeah, exactly. But it's like anything less than that, there's just no way I'm giving in right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't understand. And so anyway, the conversation I went into was in the cities when people are stacked up on top of each other and there's limited resources, where even groceries, right? I was watching a video the other day online, and a dude was just moved to New York City. And you've never been to the city, right?
Yeah.
You like where?
I went everywhere in Manhattan.
Okay, but you didn't go into like the boroughs, like the hoods and shit.
I went to Queens, Brooklyn.
Okay,
Manhattan,
so maybe you might have probably
went to Rucker Park.
Okay, so you know when you're going around the cities there, you seeing bodegas on every corner, delis, bodegas, but you're not really seeing many actual supermarkets or grocery stores, right? Not that they don't exist, but you don't really see them as often. So for most people who are going out to run to the store, you go to those bodegas and it's all the worst possible food options in terms of optimal health. On top of that, you're stacked on top of each other with constant overstimulation. You don't have any resources. You don't have any time. You don't have any money, which are the most important resources.
You're getting hit with 808s.
And you're getting hit with all those negative frequencies. And now
getting fear in the media.
Now you have to depend on the establishment. So whatever they force on you, you have no choice. Essentially, you do have a choice, but you're robbed of every resource you have. Especially like when they were doing the whole vaccination bullshit, where it's like you couldn't even go out to a public restaurant or movie theater, or anything like that. Yeah. And it's like,
which is insane.
Anybody who lives in New York at that time who hasn't gotten the fuck out doesn't make any sense to me.
Or revolted.
Or that's what I mean. You know, well, I would include that. You know what I'm saying? In the same thing. And it's just like, how, if Florida did that, I'd be out.
They've created such an unstable, at a certain level. Obviously, there's people that are at a certain point awakened. Obviously, there was over 1 million people on January 6th. Like, you know, there's at the Capitol. Like, there's so many people that are awakened, but there's more people who are unawakened.
Right.
And they've created such an unstable environment with everything that we just talked about, and including health. Everyone thinking health insurance, getting health insurance, all these insurances, which are all scams in my book. And every single thing, throwing food at you that's horrible for you, creating all this instability. Any little hiccup that comes by, you're not going to want to like go oppose it, because you're not going to oppose it, because if you had a choice, you're trying to be as peaceful as possible. You're going through all this shit, and then you want to be peaceful, and then this stupid shit comes up. You want to wear a mask. Oh, you have to wear a vaccine. And you're like, let me just do it because I have enough on my plate. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, when you're in that position, this is where the bummy part of that perspective comes in, because I respect where they're trying to come from. Because they're trying to be non-confrontational, peaceful, loving. Yeah.
I understand.
But they don't understand the liberty that they're in power that they're giving up. And now anybody who is going to stand for that liberty and power, their thinking is being confrontational. Yeah. And that's where the difference comes in with how you approach those scenarios. Yeah. For example, the one that I gave about the blood lab. Yeah. I could have, if I was, in my opinion, a lower level, like lower conscious person who wasn't trying to really come from the right place, I could have argued, thrown a fit, try to make them do it, try to talk to their supervisor, talk to the direct, you know what I mean? I could have done that, but that would have done absolutely nothing. It would have just created more reason for them to defend more. I would have still been the only one. At the end of the day, they weren't taking my blood. So why create a more toxic
But I would
scenario?
say on an individual level, yes, I would agree with you. But if more people did that, then no, I wouldn't agree with you, because that is what you need to do, because that friction is what's going to cause them to stop doing it, and they need to be scared to tell me to wear a mask.
Well,
Because when everyone starts doing it, that's when it's actually effective, and that you have to do it on that mass level for it to actually work. And because when if you had 1,000 people in the hospital sitting there complaining and not wearing their mask and going in there, they're not
everybody,
going to,
if everybody was doing it, then I agree.
or just a good amount of people to be able to make an effect on it.
Where I would say me being the only person in the building, that's not going to work at all. They're just all going to clap as.
However, I'm the type that I would want to still do that just so everyone can feel uncomfortable, because I want them to feel uncomfortable, because what you're doing is uncomfortable. You are taking my liberty.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing, and there's another aspect of them making instability. On top of all of that is the educational aspect of it. It's been 250 years almost since we founded America, and everyone's forgot the reason why we started America.
Which is hilarious too, because I'm in the VA hospital.
Yeah,
I'm sitting next to World War veterans.
Yeah,
Vietnam veterans, Korean War veterans. I'm the youngest person in the room. These are all the people who have been fighting those fucking wars.
Yeah.
Why am I the only person in here making sense of it? Like, how am I in the VA hospital and you're not respecting my freedom?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And that's, from my perspective, though, which I totally get and respect anyone who would want to be confrontational in that position. I wouldn't talk down on that. For me personally, I didn't have the time or energy to expend, but also I would rather, as long as it's still going to happen because you're going out of your way to accommodate me because I'm not doing it, then to me, I'm still winning, because you're getting it done in a way that's more inconvenient for both of us, really. However, I don't care because it's still getting done and I'm still standing my ground.
Yeah.
I'm still not doing it. If you want me to do this, make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought deeper into how this could even be effective. Like, in what way would it be effective? Because protests at this point aren't effective.
Right. Riots are terrible because they destroy things for people.
All they do is put pressure on these politicians, and they still don't do shit because they're all freaking bought and fed by these lobbyists who just.
Plus, you're destroying actual people's business.
Exactly. Well, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the only real solution that I've thought of, and in the future I want to try and get to that point, is to actually start a campaign where we withdraw our dollars from companies. That is the only way that is going to get that, because as I told you, they're using the capitalism as a tool, because they're using the flaws of capitalism to its extremes, where they're going to that route where we have to use the capitalism as our tool. And the only way to do that is to use your money, because everything is emotionless and it's driven by the money.
Right.
So you have to, let's say we had a million people, let's just say 1 million people right now say, I'm canceling my Amazon Prime right now, and I'm not buying anything on Amazon, even though I love the convenience of Amazon.
Yeah. And the prices.
But I don't like Amazon as a company. But
I agree.
But if we had 1 million people stop that right now, there's going to be some meetings going on.
For sure.
There's going to be some meetings under that. If you had 1 billion people do that for any company and say, you know what, we're not going against, and that would be a good protest. You're protesting with your money.
Right.
Because that is the only weapon we have.
Right, exactly.
That is it.
But
because
the thing is,
in the system that we are in.
But you're not going to get a mass instantaneous flux of that, which is the only power, is to educate the individual.
Yeah.
It goes back to the
but
same
the thing is, though, that we need somebody. I've thought about it, because there's a lot of people that have been talking for a lot of years and stuff, like David Icke or Alex Jones and all these things, and I've tried to actually legitimately think of the solutions. Obviously, the business that I'm trying to start were my solutions to something. Start attacking the individual. But on a immediate thing is, these people that have extreme influence and followers, they need to do a campaign like that.
Oh, right, for sure.
Like, I don't understand why they're not. Because,
I do.
Why?
Oh wait, you're talking about the Alex Joneses?
Like, people, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, if you're talking about influencers who have influence now based on, let's say, for example, for most of the time when we say influencers now, we're referring to high level people who have lots of social media influence
Yes.
of whatever their field is.
Not just social media, but just influence in general. Is what I'm
Right.
saying.
But
Yeah.
if they have influence outside, it converts to social media, which is kind of, let's just centralize it there as the hub. Most of them get their money and income from most of the brands. So,
No, but no, they don't.
What are you
Not
talking
people like Alex Jones.
oh
or
no,
David Icke,
I'm not. But that's what I'm saying. I was asking, are you talking about
Oh, no.
specifically
No,
Alex
I'm not talking about
Jones
just yes.
Because if you're talking about regular influence people, it's like
No.
their money
Well,
comes from
those
that.
regular influence people. If they're getting money from the brands, then they're not conscious.
That's no.
It's not that they're not
their
conscious. It's
moral
just
isn't
that
strong enough to
I
draw
would
the
say
boundary.
that they're not on the same level of understanding of the corruption.
Exactly.
Where
Exactly.
that's so they're not. Those aren't the people I'm talking
You're
about.
talking about the Alex Jones.
I'm talking about people like Alex Jones
Right.
or David Icke in UK. Like these people have great influence and they're
Right.
doing an amazing job. I'm not complaining. They've done hell of a lot and have awakened a lot of the world.
Right.
But why are they not doing a campaign to stop spending money at these places? They'll talk about it. We have to do it with their dollars. We have to do it with our. They'll talk
But
about
they
it.
don't
I listen
actually
to
establish the campaign.
exactly because it's about marketing too. You have to still have those marketing skills the same way they manipulate people to eat McDonald's and all this other shit. You have to use
Which
that
they don't
same
have the same
that
marketing.
same psychological skill that they have on. Hey, this date, starting this date, we aren't going to, let's say, get gas.
It will be,
Or we're not going to pay. We're not going to go to Walmart. No one's shopping at Walmart starting this day.
it would be interesting to see that, and I agree. Which we could even try.
I would like to.
We could start that because I mean, let's say
Which I don't think I ever mentioned that to you, but I've been wanting to do
I'm
that.
about that
But
for
I want to
sure.
get to a certain point where it actually could make a dent in the
well,
system.
making a dent would have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Like the podcast. Right now, I would say on average we get maybe 150 to 200 views on average for our videos, which is a good chunk of. If you put 150 to 200 people in a room, it'd be like, damn, this many people are
Yeah, but
listening.
worldwide, that seems like a little bit.
No, it is.
Yeah,
but
or US.
we just started. We're just starting to
Oh,
grow.
yeah.
And so if you start with that, and then those people keep sharing what they're doing, because the more we build the community of people who are engaging with follow-up actions and executing on the kind of things we're talking about, they're going to experience the results even just within their immediate vicinities, and they're going to talk about it more. Now, where I could see that issue coming up negatively would be the platforms that we're on. The platforms that we're on are going to have issue once they start to see that this particular show.
But but what I'm going to say about that is you can't. It's still a there's going to be a negative connotation to and an exaggeration of it, but I'm going to use the term a war. We are in for war.
Right.
And in a war, you have to have a strategy of offense and defense. And it wouldn't be smart to attack an army of 1 million people with 200 people. So you would have to build your platform or whatever.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
To the point to have power, like let's say somebody like Trump, who had the power and the
then be
influence
like,
to do something.
Attack! Exactly.
So you have to build to that level, because if you do it beforehand, then
they're going to be like, oh, we got to squash this shit now.
Exactly.
That's what after I said it, after you finished, that's what I was going to bring up, was and be like, it actually would be smarter to wait until you had that big of a group. And one of the things I noticed too, I reminded me when I was rolling through Publix parking lot for my fruit the other day. Have you ever heard the concept of the third dimension and the fifth dimension happening right now at the same time? Have you ever heard that idea?
Yeah.
So I've heard the idea too, and I can kind of grasp what they're trying to say. But the more I catch moments like I did yesterday, the more I start to see clearer that it is actually happening. Because I enjoy every day, right? Like I'm in a good mood every day. There are moments that obstacles come up that are unfortunate, whatever, but that's like a fleeting thing. And then I'm back to just enjoying my day, whatever I'm doing. I don't get upset at things. I don't get mad, other than when I'm arguing with you because you're an idiot. Nothing bothers people. Things don't really bother me. And
Says
so,
the idiot.
So I'm walking around or I'm driving around the parking lot and I'm at a stop sign and I see this older couple crossing the street, but there's an parking aisle right next to me, but in front of them. So like I can turn in that aisle, not interfering with their path of walking. So as soon as I take off the stop sign, I could just see the old guy gesturing to his wife, like to me, like if I'm in their way at all. Like they didn't stop walking or anything. I kept driving. No, it was like a harmonious movement through the parking lot. But just I could tell, and I could be wrong because I wasn't listening to him, but definitely the vibe I got from looking at him, that he's like, what the hell, this idiot. Language. Yeah, it was pretty clear to me. And I'm just like, in my head, just like, I would hate to be feeling however you're feeling right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in my own world chilling, not bothering y'all not bothering me. And you just got pissed because you assumed that I was going to try to go in front of you. And just to know that there's so many people in that state of mind and that state of unwellness or disease, dis-ease, that something so minor can just trigger you on this path of hatred or discontent or anger. And then now you're sitting in that, and I wasn't doing shit. Like I'm still just chilling in my car. Yeah. So really that's
the instability though that they've created in everybody's mind.
I know, but to think that there's so many people like us coexisting with people who are on a totally different realm, and the people who aren't conscious aren't aware that there are conscious people. So they're thinking that everyone's on their level interacting with the same ideas. And it's like, bro, I am not paying attention to any of that shit.
Yeah.
Like what I'm like, have a great, you know what I'm saying?
It's actually amazing. It's pretty crazy how like somebody's reality can be completely different.
Yeah.
Like, their outlook, like literally an entire
world.
Yeah.
Like a whole life of difference.
And like, for instance, just even the stuff that we talk about, which, you know, we don't consider ourselves anywhere near on an enlightened level.
Yeah, exactly.
So even the stuff we talk about, people will say, wow, I never thought of it like that. And I'm like, well, what are you thinking about?
They're not,
like,
though.
Not in a disrespectful way, but it's just like, what are you thinking about then on a daily basis?
They're not thinking at all. They're just distracting themselves.
Yeah.
And I've talked to my clients all the time about that. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you spending your time doing? And it's like, usually distracting themselves from having to think about anything, because thinking about anything causes too much discomfort, because now either you have to do something or you realize how many things are flawed that you need to work on. And it's easier just to not think about that. So it's like, let me just scroll through social media or play this game. I love video games. I was telling my daughter just started playing my Nintendo DS. She found it in the house, and I haven't touched that thing in years. And she turns it on. There's a Pokemon game in there, and she's loving it. And I'm like excited that she's liking it. I'm like, damn, look at her getting a Pokemon. And she's like, Daddy, help me. Like, and I'm just thinking, and I got hyped because I'm like, I'm trying to play it. But I realized,
I got next.
I realized I wish I could play. I just don't have the time. And I say this because I truly enjoyed all the times growing up that we spent playing games. And I wish I could play casually. I don't have the time based on my current schedule. But even if I had the time,
I wouldn't want to.
I don't want to, because I know that I could be doing something so much more valuable and so much more impactful.
That's the dilemma that I'm always in too, because even the little time, I'm just like, there's a million things I need to do on this computer.
That's not a game.
And I'm just like,
that's life-changing.
Even though
you have to have balance.
Yeah.
You could dabble.
Because it's pleasure.
But the worst part is that the best games, in my opinion, are the ones that involve so much time investment.
Yeah.
Because
but that's with anything, though. Because we've invested so much time when we were younger. I remember running home after school to try and just play games, the games all day, go to sleep, repeat when we were younger.
Exactly.
But it was so enjoyable because of how intensely focused we were in it.
Right.
And involved in it. And that's with anything, though.
Right.
But obviously the way we are now is like, well, I can be like that in reality, in stuff that are actually existing here.
And change things.
Exactly. And when you're in that reality and you do that intense focus on something, those become beautiful. And that has become more important to us, I feel like. That's why we're like that, where it's like, damn, but we remember how cool it was to be involved in that.
It's awesome.
A lot, yeah.
And it's exciting, because then you're hearing the new games and you're like, so many things you could do. And
same thing with sports, same shit.
And that's why I don't automatically discount the people who do game that hard still, even as adults.
You can learn a lot from it.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of all these ulterior messages and motives are all happening in that world too. And that's why I don't fault the grown men who do that still. But I would compare it to entrepreneurs versus employees, because if you are an employee, it's easier to still be that heavily involved in games. Whereas again, a generalization, but from my experience, if you're an entrepreneur, like a true entrepreneur who's really trying to build from the ground up, you just can't, you can't do it.
Don't have time.
If I was still working my corporate job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, I could definitely still play games. Not like 4 hours a day, but at least an hour.
That's all you were committing to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I wasn't trying to do things outside of just make my money, support my family, have a good time outside of work.
If anything, I feel busier when I'm out of work.
Exactly. Because all the other shit you want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas me,
that's my rest time. That's literally my mental rest time. Is at work. I'm just like, all right, I could just focus on work.
I was just saying that the other day. They were like, because I'm always, every time I talk to anybody, I'm always referring to the podcast because it's something is relevant, and I'm like, oh, on that episode we talked about this or we talked about this, and I literally said the other day, I was like, they were talking about how much stuff I got going on, and I'm like, yeah, bro, I do. I got a lot going on, and then they're like, I don't know how you do it, and I'm like, coming to work is my break, like my break from everything I'm trying to do, like, because I know I'm only, especially my job, because when I'm cutting hair, I'm solely focused on exactly what I'm doing in that moment.
Exactly.
My phone's in my pocket, music is on, I'm talking to my client, and I'm focused on making them look fantastic. And I do a great job. Shout out to my clients. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, I'm 100% focused on that. And I love that. So I know I'm working, but compared to the level of energy and attention I'm putting into all the things we're trying to create, work is light work, baby. Like I'm chilling at work. I'm working all day and I'm relaxing.
If anything, the only thing that affects me at work is the fact that I'm not doing the things that I actually want to do.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, I'm just not trying to do this.
The time loss.
Yeah, it's not ever like hard or taxing or taking a toll on me. It's like, if it is, it's because I need to hurry up and get home because I want to do these things.
Especially because we're social people. Whereas introverted people, like let's say for Jessica's obviously more introverted on that scale. And for her, being around groups of people actually drains her energy. Like it takes more energy just to be around
she has to
people.
Entertain that.
Yeah. And also, her level of probably, I'm assuming or guesstimating, her level of energy output to even be comfortable in that situation is higher. Whereas we don't give a shit and we don't have to put any energy into it. Yeah. So if anything, I get charged up in that experience. And then I'm like, all right, now it's time to focus on all the shit I got to do. Because like I get home and that's funny because people are always like, oh, you're taking forever to text back or this or that. It's like, bro, I don't have time to text back usually until like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Because I get home at about 10, take a shower, try to eat something, and then I'm like, it's almost time for bed, and I have like a shit ton of things I gotta post and share and reply to my clients and check my schedule, and then it's like and then Jessica's waiting for me to watch a show, and I feel bad, and it's already past like 11, and she's about to pass out because she's been with toddlers all day, and it's like, bro, there's no time, but you have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a barber entrepreneur, Dre Flow Cuts, Cut Flow Dre, I think, on Instagram. He has a bunch of followers, been doing a lot of good stuff in the barber world there. Shout out. And he was kind of putting me on game on live yesterday, giving me some gems. And when I heard that he had 5 kids and he's got his own shop and doing all this stuff, I'm like, all right, I could do more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he got 5 and he's doing it. But then it all comes down to also the type of lifestyle you want and how much time you want with all of it. So
exactly, because that's a lot of freedom to do other things, which is pretty much kind of I would say half of my goal, which is your goals for sure, just to have that freedom to do whatever you want and pleasure.
Exactly.
But obviously half of me is the conviction side of me.
The good thing is there's the whole of you is so large that half of you is still quite a good amount of person.
Oh yeah.
Nah, but good shit though. I'm being on day 14. What day 14?
Day 14. Yeah.
Day 14. I'm on 25. Friday's my last day, and then my birthday's
What's
the
your
next
first
week.
meal?
Veggie pho.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
that's
go
right,
to.
that's right.
I'm gonna try a new pho spot that I got. That actually Genocide recommended to me.
Oh, word.
There's a few spots I got to hit that he's recommended. Yesterday he was at another sushi spot by Millennium Mall, and he's like, "Yo, this is great." I'm like, "Bro, I'm stacked up on places to visit right now." But yeah, so I'm gonna go have a veggie pho. It's still veggie.
Yeah.
It's cooked. It'll be like a good intro meal, and
Yeah.
then the day after have some white rice maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing okay. I feel like this one was a lot easier than the other ones, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there has been
I
many.
feel the same way.
I feel like I don't know what it is, but there's something that's I don't know.
I think it might also just be our level up in understanding,
Yeah.
the bigger picture and everything. But even I'm surprised that I feel this good and this non-stressed or anxious or like, damn, I can't wait for that 5 days.
Mhm.
Like if I didn't know that I already set 30 days and I have plans based around that, and somebody told me, yo, could you do another 30? I could easily do another 30.
Yeah,
I feel that way right now. Like it's like the 30 was a warm up. And the group Life Design, shout out Life Design. You didn't check the chat yet, but Johnny and his family are, and some other people in the group for different amounts of time are doing the raw vegan detox. So raw
Oh,
fruits.
yeah?
So they're shooting for 90 right off rip.
for
Right,
90
they're
days.
shooting for 90 days. And as I was telling them in the chat, I'm like, yo, more power to you for one upping me. My next one will be 90, but my first, I'm very happy and proud of my 30-day run. And I see the difference. One of my clients told me the other day I was glowing. I was like, thank you. They were like, bro, you look good. I'm like, thank you, man. They're like, my skin looks different and everything. So I'm like, shit, I appreciate it. But it feels fantastic, and I can't wait for my next run.
I mean, I definitely feel good. My feet and my legs have definitely become less inflamed and less.
They do look
swollen.
better.
For sure.
Still ugly, but better for sure.
But we'll see how much it goes into. It's going to be interesting. I really want to turn that into a video series and a book on 6 months. And we'll see
at
how
this
that
point,
goes.
you can't even have an
it's-
opportunity to
there-
not do 6
Yeah,
months.
there's no point in not doing it at this point because I've been talking about it for so long.
Yeah, and you're on public. You're public about it.
Yeah, and I'm focused. I'm way more focused than I've ever been as far as doing it, and I feel like once I get over with it, and I feel like I want my taste buds to reset because I feel like I'm trying to get over that.
The addictions.
Yeah, where it's like bringing up foods and memories because a lot of people eat from memory of their taste of the food.
It's like if you stop smoking weed and then you start thinking about all the times you got high with your boys.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, and that's why I tell people when I tell them this, I'm like, you need to not think about food the way you do. You need to think about food as a drug because that's what it is,
Yeah.
especially with the chemicals they're putting in your food.
And instead of focusing on what I can't eat, I'm focusing on what I want to eat and how I want to eat and what am I trying to accomplish.
Exactly.
And as a consequence of that, all those negative things that I wanted to eat or I'm addicted to are falling off.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm pulling for you. I want you to pass 30 for your sake. And then also because it'll give me more motivation to do my 90 next. But I hope you do your 60, your 6 months. And at this point, there's no reason for you to stop.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see you out here ordering no double rice nowhere.
Nah.
Now, me and Jeremy are going to go get sushi in the next few weeks.
I'm trying to completely cut out white rice. Like if I was to eat rice, I realized.
Well, you can't eat anything there. So
I'm talking about.
Would you
I'm talking about after.
Would you go
6
to a
months.
restaurant for a social event at this point and just not eat what they're
Yeah.
eating? Okay, so we're gonna go to
I
Ito's.
did that shit yesterday.
Oh, at the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can still go get sushi then the next week or two.
Yeah, I don't
All right,
give a
bet.
shit.
Hell yeah.
I'll just get some pure water.
Well, that good
But,
shit,
hey,
man. Good
it was
talk.
a good talk.
That's about it.
It's a wrap.
Nah, get the fuck outta here. That was the fake. That was a warm up, but for real, good shit,
No.
man.
Episode 21.
Episode 21, and that we'll call it official now. That's a wrap.